Welcome to the Middlesex Moments radio show. I'm Dr. Anna Wasesha, president of Middlesex Community College, and joining me today is Judith Felton. Judith is the head of our Human Services program here, chair of the Social Science Division, and how long have you been teaching here at Middlesex?
About 20 years now.
That seems like a long time.
It doesn't feel like a long time.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Would have been 1992.
93 in January, so almost 20 years. Almost 20 years, yeah.
Has it changed a lot since you started?
Well, there's aspects of it that have changed, but not the, I don't think the core of our spirit has changed. You know, we're an intimate community. We care very much about our students, care very much about one another and the community we serve. That part of it hasn't changed. But certainly ways we deliver learning has changed, teaching, online teaching, technology, students, the student composition has changed. Younger students now versus 20 years where the average student might have been 27 or 28 years old. Now we're seeing younger students, so those kinds of things are changing. The way we deliver instruction is changing, but the spirit of the college, that hasn't changed.
I think it's a great place. I was reading something not too long ago about the argument that a better education is provided to a student who's able to take classes that are small in size, and in fact that's the case here at Middlesex. I mean, most of our school classrooms are no larger than 25. But somebody was arguing back that class size is kind of important. But even more important is size of the school. And one of the problems that this person was asserting with American high school education is that we've consolidated schools into these enormous institutions, and then students get lost.
That's exactly
right. And I think the overall size of Middlesex is about right, too.
I think the size is perfect for student faculty engagement, student staff engagement. We know our students. Those of us who run programs feel that we know our students by name.
Right.
We get involved in their lives, and while respecting boundaries, but get involved in their lives. And I think all of us feel that students feel we are accessible, which is harder to get that feeling at a much larger school.
Right. Yeah. And so we're going to have to take a break, actually. But I asked you here today so we could talk about the Red Moon Fest. So we can make this jump from one lily pad, how great Middlesex Community College is, to the other lily pad, which is how great this new event is going to be on our campus. So we'll take a break and be right back. Well, we're back, and this is Anna Wasesha from Middlesex Community College, and I'm talking with Judith Felton, who teaches here in our Social Science Division, does a huge amount of work with service learning, too. I mean, Judith was responsible for orchestrating the production of a book that's called Soup Stories, because so many of her students were working at the soup kitchen on Main Street. She's got big ideas, and one of the big ideas was to draw in students who were graphic artist students and students who were creative writers, and they worked with the students who were actually at the soup kitchen, and they wrote these stories out, and so now we have this great book. Yeah, I think it's a point of pride here for the college. Over the break, we were talking about, what's on our docket, and I have to tell you, people ask me, and I'm sure they asked you, do you work in the summer? And I think, I probably work harder because I have fewer, actual structured things, so I can go full bore into these big tasks. And one of them, of course, is that we have this new service learning student who, she's a Vista volunteer who's going to be arriving this afternoon. And we're looking out the window here in my office where we're taping the program, and it's pouring rain. And thinking about getting her here from Illinois, picking her up at the airport in New Haven, and then finding a house for her to, live so that she can be here for a 12-month period. And what's she going to do?
Well, good question. We have a meeting in about an hour. But primarily our Vista worker, her name is Alea Rucker, and she's from Peoria, Illinois. She's graduated from college with a degree in English, has been very involved in community service activities through her college and working with the students there. Alea is going to be working, there's a couple of paths that Alea will be working on. One is that we have a group of students, which we call the transitional year students, and they're students who are coming to Middlesex, and like many of our students, college is a new experience for them. They may be slightly underprepared for some of our college level courses, so they will be working with a group of faculty to work with them so that they can have success and stay in school. And Alea will be working with these students and other students to sort of assess what their non-academic support needs are. So An example might be many of our students are single mothers, and you might have a student who really isn't sure how to get childcare for her child. So Alea could be sort of assessing where is childcare for young mothers, where could this person go, transportation needs, simple needs such as money for groceries, those kinds of things. So Alea will be sort of assessing what those non-academic support needs are. And in the meantime, working with these students to develop skills in them so that they could go out and do quote-unquote service learning, civic engagement activities in our community. So the other path is that Alea will be working with me and others to really sort of formalize a service learning quote-unquote center here at the college. And I say quotes because it won't be a mortar kind of center, bricks and mortar, but a place where we'll have opportunities for students to delve into with the community, with agencies in the community, both for-profit and nonprofit agencies, which say that we could really use some students to help us with our mission. And then that would help students develop their own value set around what does it mean to be active members of a community, what does it mean to be civically engaged with a community. And then thirdly, we'll also be working with faculty in terms of how do we infuse curriculum with opportunities for civic engagement. How can students get credit for this? How can faculty kind of have very hands-on engagement with the community and with their students to make things happen?
So do you remember, I'm trying to remember as you say that, where the United States ranks in the, if you take a look at all the democracies in the world, where we rank in voting participation, and I think it's something like 137th out of 152. So we're very, very low in voter participation.
Very low.
Yesterday I was watching a program which was talking about organizing Asian American and Asian diaspora, people who come here from Asia, become citizens and are eligible to vote, just in general, just to see them as a voting bloc. And one of the Asians who was being interviewed said, what I say to my friends and family is, we come from countries where we can't vote. Nobody votes on who leads us, and so we better get out there and vote because now we have this opportunity. So you've been here now for 20 years. Do our students, do you think, actively participate just simply in voting, which is really the top of the iceberg? There's so much more involved.
My sense is that many of them do not vote, and that and aren't really involved with the political process. And I think part of that is that they've been discouraged. The media sort of hammers us with what's not going right with our democratic process, with our legislative process. And I think that they feel discouraged. I'm not sure they know if they can make a difference or not. And so I see as part of what we can do here at the community college is help students understand not only that they do make a difference, but how they can make a difference, and that voting counts, that vote really counts. But before we get to that point, we have to help them to understand what it means to be an active member of society, and what does it mean to be an active member of our community, and why does my vote count, so that they can see the consequences of not being involved, of not voting, that they are able to really weigh that. And I think just about every part of our curriculum can address those issues, because part of it is helping students to recognize their values and helping them realize that when I am involved, I feel better. And you and I have been working on a grant that looks at the correlation between civic engagement, student success, and psychosocial well-being, that there is a correlation between a positive correlation between all those things. And it's interesting, not to belabor the point too much, but I was talking with an older adult not too long ago, a woman in her 90s, and she was sharing with me. She still gets weepy when she talks about the loss of her husband, and her husband died about 30 years ago. And she's very funny, saying, life is just so much better with a man, and so on and so forth. But I asked her, well, how did you get through that? How did you cope with that sadness? How do you cope with loneliness today? And she said, I get involved.
Right.
I'm a doer. I get involved. And And I try to say that to my students, that the reason I'm asking you to go down to St. Vincent's, for instance, and meet the guests at the soup kitchen and really get to know their stories is because you'll feel better. It's not that you're giving the guests a gift, they're giving you a gift. And I think every time we get involved in something, the gift is ours. Right. And so that, I think, is kind of what we're trying to do here at our campus, sort of support that value.
I hope that, having Alea here, Alea is Elaiya.
Yeah, Alea.
Yeah, so I have to get used to saying it. But I think because she's also part of, she's a peer in a sense.
Exactly.
I mean, she's graduated from college, but she's a young person.
That's right.
So she can be an example.
That's right.
And obviously, as a Vista volunteer, your life is an example of how you can give back.
And that's exactly right. I mean, Vista volunteers, the whole point is that that there is a sense that they experience what many of our underserved experience, and even that's not the right word, but and Alea will be. I mean, as we've said, and I'll say again, if anybody has housing, that they have very little stipend, and so can't afford much in terms of housing, and so we're working very hard to try to find her something.
Right, and they get around by bus.
Well, she will have to because she doesn't have her own wheels. Yeah,
right.
Some Vista members have a car, but I asked her, "Do you have a car?" And she said she did, but it would not make it from Illinois to Connecticut. So.
Well, actually, I mean, I think that another piece of the sustainability, to go back to Red Moon and why we want to focus on sustainability here at the college, is ultimately we have to wean ourselves off of gasoline guzzling cars, and when American Motors and Asian car and European car manufacturers are moving in that direction. But still, when you buy a new car, some of them get 25 miles to the gallon, and they're burning gasoline. And I am confident that in my lifetime we'll see electric cars. And then that electricity can be created by renewable energy sources. Here in Middletown, we have Green Skies. I'm eager to see what they do. They've got the contract for the rooftops for the Walmarts in Massachusetts. And I saw recently that they might be putting up a solar panel field in Meriden. And then the city of Meriden can buy their energy from them. So it's renewable. I mean, technology and science will get us, I think, to that point. But meanwhile, buses and bicycles.
That's right.
And John Hall's involved in this bicycle movement.
I just wanted to bring it back as you're talking back to the Red Moon Fest, that one of the exciting things about having John Hall contribute something is that he is the director of the Jonas Center, and we know that the Jonas Center is very supportive of Middlesex's desire to get going with all of these efforts for sustainability.
Right.
So he's a role model for us
Try
in that
them
regard.
out.
Yeah.
And I've been really pleased at how many people actually get to this campus in Middletown by bus, and I see bikes attached to the fronts of those buses. And I know that there's the Ninetown Transit system that brings students up from Old Saybrook. We still have a hinky relationship with Meriden in the sense, not we with the city of Meriden, but the buses don't really talk to each other.
Right.
And so sometimes our students can take up to an hour and a half to get something that you could drive quickly. Ultimately, though, we will get more connected by mass transit, and that's an ideal solution now.
Absolutely.
And there are hydrogen buses and other ways to fuel those multi-passenger vehicles. So, I'm hoping. But the great thing about a college environment is that it's a laboratory, a living laboratory, which is why it's so important to me that we demonstrate in all the little tiny ways and the very powerful ways how we can be sustainable. And we're making some progress in that regard. So to go back to Red Moon, I hope people will come here on September 8th. They'll be able to see this beautiful campus and some of our sustainable gardens. They'll be able to have some fantastic food. The menu is incredible. Some local wines.
And talk with us, beginning the discussion of continuing this discussion.
Exactly. Yeah. So I really thank you so much for coming here today. We want to repeat Greg Klein's number. So
Greg Klein. If you want to get tickets, you can phone Greg Klein at 860-343-6914, or you can email him at gkline@mxcc.edu.
And that Klein is Kline.
That's right.
So gkline at mxcc.edu. And that unfortunately brings us to the end of this very short half hour. This has been the Middlesex Moments radio show, and today Judith Felton and I have been talking about the Red Moon Fest and about our new VISTA volunteer who's going to be arriving at the end of this week. So I hope you all get a chance actually to meet her too, because I'm sure she'll be out and about on the pathways through our community. If you're interested in learning more about our college, and remember, school's starting at the end of August, and we have lots of credit and non-credit offerings, and everyone is welcome to be a student here at the college, take a look at MxCC.edu. I'm Anna Wasesha, president of Middlesex Community College, wishing you a good day. Well, welcome back to Middlesex Moments. I'm Anna Wasesha, and Judith Felton is here today to help me talk about the Red Moon Fest, because we're both actually partners in organizing this new festival that we're going to offer here at the campus. So it's called the Red Moon Fest, and the name Red Moon it comes from the sort of astrological charts, the lunar charts. When the last moon, it's kind of near the end of August, early September, occurs, it's the red moon, followed by the harvest moon. But weirdly, this month, it turns out that there are going to be 2 full moons within the 1 month of August. I don't remember when the first one is, but the second full moon will be August 31st, which makes it actually technically a blue moon. So that only happens once in a blue moon, as the expression goes. So we're going to stick with red moon because we hope that we'll do this every year. And it's obviously it's going to be September 8th. Saturday night, September 8th, from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock here on the campus in Middletown. And the theme is things that are grown, made, or created in the state of Connecticut. So it's kind of a festival of local things. And since we're the local community college, and most of our students come from the local region, it seemed like a good thing to celebrate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're having this wonderful festival, though it's not a carnival, it's a festival, and we're going to be celebrating, as Anna said, local foods and local talent and things made and grown in Connecticut. We'll have the Lost Acres String Band playing for us, which one of the members is a husband of a former faculty member here and a very talented band. We're going to be having wine tastings with local wines and beer tastings with local beers, and lots of good food from a local caterer, and there'll be a live and silent auction. And I think that we're just going to be having a whole lot of fun celebrating Middlesex Community College and also celebrating our sustainability initiatives here on campus, a new initiative for us moving forward.
And some people want to know what sustainability is. You know, I worry that it's a word that will get so overused that it will begin to mean anything. Just to set a stake in the ground, sustainability means that we today in our current lives will rely upon the resources around us, natural resources, and at such a level that those generations that follow us will have the same access to the same kinds of resources. And I think, you know, every day I'm reminded that there are reasons why this is maybe the preeminent issue of our lives, and certainly going forward, future generations. Because recently, as people who have been paying attention to the news will know, 1/3 of northern India, including Delhi, went without power. They had great power failures of their grid, partially caused by the fact that they rely heavily on hydroelectric power, and the water levels are down. The water levels are down because the earth is warming and the snow melt off the Himalayas is decreased, and so they don't have that replenishment of the water supply. So, and of course, all this is connected, interconnected, and we experience it right here in Connecticut with extremes in weather. My first day here last year, first day of college classes, we had to cancel them because of Hurricane Irene, and then in the fall we had our 5K run, which the foundation also sponsors, and that was the day of that freak blizzard, which shut us down for way too long. So I was thinking about the experience of being without power, and Judith, you were so kind to me because you called me up and took care of me, took me to places where I could get a warm shower and get a warm meal during that terrible week in October. I was thinking about what it would be like in India to be without power, because it shut down their transit, their subways, their trains, their hospitals were really in deep trouble. They were relying on generators. So we experience here what is experienced globally, and it's good to remember that.
I think that the points you are making sort of underscore another reason we're having this Red Moon Fest is to kind of emphasize the interconnectedness that our college feels with our community, and that we want to be seen as a place that the community can rely on. in terms of educating students, in terms of a place to come to for public forums on sustainability, and for culture, for arts. And we really want this Red Moon Fest to be kind of another announcement of who we are, and that we are a college community that moves forward based on a set of values: the value of education, the value of communicating with our communities, the value of being center in terms of a place where people can remember and go to. And the results of this fest, which will include live auction, silent auction, will be that we can support students, we can support programs on campus, we can support faculty development on campus, staff development on campus. We could be the voice for so many things if we can really bring people to our campus.
So we should probably be sure to mention how one might find out about getting a ticket to the Red Moon Fest.
That's right. So we have tickets. They're $50 a person, and you can get a ticket by contacting Greg Klein at the college. He's our development person, and his name again is Greg Klein, and his phone number is 343-6914. Or you can also be a sponsor for this event. There are sponsor levels, a variety of levels, from $2,500 sponsorships, where you can get a table for 6 people, to $250, the Moonstone sponsor, of which I'm one, and where you get 2 guest tickets to the event. And there's also $1,000 over the Moon sponsor and $500 half Moon sponsor. So you can be a sponsor, or you can just buy tickets and come and have fun. It's really going to be fun.
I can't wait for it to happen. It's going to be in Chapman Hall, which is the new building on our campus. It was new the year,
quote unquote new,
in 1992, and you started in '93. So you walked into this brand new facility.
Yeah, which felt very new, and it still does feel new. And it has also beautiful vistas of the Connecticut River Valley from Chapman Hall. So it's still going to be summer light when we have this Red Moon Fest. So people will be able to look out over the Connecticut River Valley from Middlesex Community College, which, by the way, is one of the most beautiful community colleges in the state. We just host a lovely view of the Connecticut River Valley.
Bar none. And if you pivot and you look out, you see the woods and the forest, and then north we have the reservoir.
That's right.
And I have to say, coming from Minnesota, this reservoir doesn't have motorized vehicles on it, which the boundary waters in northern Minnesota also exclude motorized vehicles. And that changes everything, because that water is nearly drinkable.
It's beautiful.
You can see right through to the bottom.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. So we have fantastic natural resources on this campus. So, we also wanted to talk a little bit about the auction items, because I have to say, I love silent auctions, because I find I can do most of my shopping for
and they're
holidays.
silent, they're private.
Right. Exactly. And I've found the most astounding things at silent auctions, and so we have this incredible list, and some of it may be live auctions, some may be silent, but I know that, speaking of the natural environment here, that John Hall is going to, and do you want to talk a little bit about what he's got cooked up for us?
Right. I happened to run into John Hall at the swimming pool, and it's amazing the amount of business that can get done at the swimming pool. At our local Y.
And it's good for you, too.
And it's good for you, too. And our local Y is a great supporter of Middlesex Community College as well. But John Hall, who runs the Jonah Center, has agreed to provide for 2 or more people a small kayak tour of part of the Connecticut River, and also lessons, should people want it. And this can be a group of people that can go along. John Hall and his wife Susan will be doing this, and we're hoping to throw in a kayak. There has been a kayak donated for our auction, so we're hoping to maybe make this a package deal. But that will be very fun, and again, no better time to be on the Connecticut River than the fall. It's really a lovely spot. We also have a live auction item that I was able to bid on at another auction a couple of years ago, which is a 6-day, 6-night trip to South Africa, Zulu Nyala in South Africa. It's a photo safari trip for 2. And my husband and I were able to do this a couple of years ago, and it was completely a life-changing event. So we're going to have that. That'll be very fun. We have tennis lessons. We have a weekend in Cape Cod for a 3-day weekend in Cape Cod. We have Afghans, hand-crocheted Afghans. We have a lot of gift cards for local restaurants, Mondo's or Rourke's Diner, Lino's Market. We have 2 tickets at the Ivoryton Playhouse. So we have a whole lot of items that celebrate our community. So it's really, not only can you come and have wonderful wine, I'm sure it's going to be wonderful wine and food, but you can also benefit from the auction and really have some fun results with that.
And it kind of renews your awareness of what has happened in Connecticut. I'm still new to Connecticut, but I started looking for books that were written by Connecticut authors or films that were shot in Connecticut, and I was amazed at how many things there are. I know Amy Bloom, who's now over at Wesleyan, has donated some of her books. I believe those will be in the auction as well, and. Of course, there's Mark Twain. There's just so much history in Connecticut. I think maybe the Connecticut Tourism Bureau is doing a good job of renewing our awareness of how cool a place Connecticut is. And so this festival is just another way for us to slow down just a moment and think about how wonderful our local world here is in this very small state in New England. So with that, we got to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to probably talk a little bit more about the fall and the local foods and the classes starting up in actually the fall. The classes will start at the end of August. I think that's too early. It should be after Labor Day. But nonetheless, here at Middlesex College, we start up before Labor Day happens, and we'll talk a little bit about that when we get back to our listening audience in just a moment.